All right, now that we've created a plan and prepared for the installation work that we've got to do, it's time to become familiar with the installation wizard and actually walk through the installation process. For my installation, I'm going to be putting SOLIDWORKS 2017 Service Pack 5 on this laptop that I'm working off of. So you can see here, if I go down, I've already gone to the SOLIDWORKS customer portal and downloaded the software that I need to start the installation. So I'm going to go ahead after unzipping the setup and double click on setup. And this is going to pull up the installation manager. Now, I've been working to prepare this course and I've got some attempts of installation started on this machine. Typically, you won't see this error, but if you do, it's nothing to be alarmed about if you know what's going on and you're not restarting an installation mid-process. So, for example, I could have been doing this installation and then had a failure and stopped, and then this is saying, hey, there's a reboot pending from that. Do you want to? You don't really need to. For this, I know what's going on, so just click OK. And typically, if you reboot and come back, it's going to say this again anyway. So I click OK, and then we start the installation manager. Now, we're going to talk about administrative images, server products, and other downloads later in this course. Right now, we just want to focus on a SOLIDWORKS standalone installation of SOLIDWORKS 2017 Service Pack 5. So we're going to leave this with individual selected and go ahead and click next. All right, you can see here that my serial number is already automatically loaded. I'm going to go and double check that it's the right one because I've attempted this in the past, so it remembers my serial number. That's one thing about SOLIDWORKS. If you've installed any of its software on a machine in the past or attempted an install, it's going to remember that you've done so. It buries data deep in the registry and deep in other locations so that it's not possible for you to easily just go in and delete everything. You have to go through an actual formal uninstall process and use the SOLIDWORKS uninstall tool through the control panel. But all that aside, let's just focus on the installation right now. So if you don't have your serial, this is where you would copy it in and place it in. If you have additional products like visualization, using SOLIDWORKS to visualize boost, or flow simulation, you can expand these, select that option, and insert those serials as well. This all, again, applies to standalone products, not server license products. All right, so let's go ahead and click next. Oh, and you can see here I've still selected SOLIDWORKS Visualize, so I've got to unselect that. And that'll happen. You've got to uncheck anything that you've checked if you haven't put a serial number in there. I'm going to go ahead and click next. We're waiting. So right now, you'll notice that it's doing a system check. You actually want to be hooked up to the internet when you do this. It's verifying my serial number, verifying that I have permission to install this software. All right, now here you can see we've got 5 new areas. Because this serial that I have includes SOLIDWORKS Electrical, they're giving me the option to install that as well. Here you've got your toolbox hole wizard options. We're going to be making a new SOLIDWORKS toolbox. We're going to use the default installation location. For download options, let's just take a quick look at this. We're going to go ahead and do the download and install option. You can also select a download only or install only. What this is going to do is give you the ability to download any extra files that the SOLIDWORKS installation requires to make sure that you have the complete information for that service pack or whatever feature of SOLIDWORKS you're installing. So typically you just want to leave this on download and install. If you've installed all the files manually, you can say install only, I have the files, and then point to it. And then you can also point to where these files might be. So you can see that I've already downloaded some of the files as part of the initial download. So that's the folder it's going to be pointing to look for the files. Down here as well, you can adjust how the download happens. You can increase your speed or decrease it using more bandwidth. You can also initiate the background downloader for future service packs. These are really up to preference and what your specific system is set up for. If you don't want to use the background downloader, you just uncheck it. It's not a big deal, but if you want to have your recent versions of SOLIDWORKS downloading in the background so that when it is time to install, you don't have to wait for, potentially a big file to install. You can just leave this on and go ahead and it will automatically download that when the service packs come up, and leave it on a location in your computer where this folder is already located, and just keep filling it in. So if we just browse right there, you can see in my SOLIDWORKS downloads, it says 2017 Service Pack 5. If you leave the background downloader on, it's just going to keep populating this folder with 2018 Service Pack 0, Service Pack 1, 2, and so on, and as each version moves on. All right, so let's go back to the summary. The main part of this is checking the product. So this is what we're actually installing on the machine, and we want to make sure that we include everything. So this is a SOLIDWORKS Premium seat. So that's going to give us the ability to install all the classic SOLIDWORKS add-ins, and then additionally some of the other components. I'm going to turn off eDrawings. I'm going to turn off SOLIDWORKS Explorer and Workgroup PDM for this. I'm also going to turn off Electrical and Composer Player. I'm going to leave Simulation and Motion. We're really just focusing on the SOLIDWORKS aspect for this install. We don't want to really focus on any of the other softwares. You can install them as well right now, but again, it's up to preference and what you're doing. For this, we just want to install SOLIDWORKS. So let's go back to our summary. All right, I'm going to go ahead and accept the terms. And you can see here, I don't need any files because I've already downloaded them. It's just going to install. So I'm going to go ahead and hit install now. And now we wait for the installation to take place. All right, now thanks to the magic of movie and video making, we've sped through that. But that process, you can wait quite a long time depending on the system that you're using. So for example, I just sat here for about an hour and waited for that to go through because this is a brand new machine. It has literally none of the components of the software on it, including the Microsoft add-ins such as Visual Studio, Bonjour, all those softwares. So if you've had a computer for a while or had any other versions of SOLIDWORKS, it might not take as long. Also, if you have a really powerful computer, it's not going to take that long. A couple things to note. So this is concluding all of our activity in the installation manager. So you see that the installation manager is exactly what it sounds like. It's the place to manage your installations. Now, it used to be that with SOLIDWORKS, you would have different managers for PDM and SOLIDWORKS and some of the other components, but now they've combined it all into the SOLIDWORKS installation manager. Now, usually I uncheck to show me what's new because I usually read that ahead of time. And here, one thing to note, the customer experience improvement platform, we're going to talk about this a little bit later when we talk about the CAD admin dashboard. But if you hit yes, I want to join, that'll give you the ability to keep this computer monitored by the CAD admin dashboard, but you can do that later. It's not a big deal. So go ahead and click finish, and that concludes using the SOLIDWORKS installation manager.